Good morning. Today is Sunday, and it is July 22nd. The day of the week, another human construct, but it's okay. That's what we intersubjectively agree on, what the date is. So we're continuing our conversations with each other, and they are derived from those that are reading and discussing various topics in You Are the Universe, Discovering Your Cosmic Self and Why It Matters. And I'm very grateful to all of you for joining this conversation. Hi, Bhayan Gonzalez from the Philippines. I'm very grateful for all of you for joining this conversation so we can expand our awareness. And today's question comes from Psychedelicacy, who seems to be a great seeker, and he poses 4 possibilities regarding existence. Possibility number one, solipsism. You're only as yourself in this one form and you're eternal. Possibility number 2, open individualism. You're one self throughout infinite forms. You are eternal. Possibility number 3, science, eternal oblivion. Each self is finite and there's probably an infinity of them. Possibility number 4, each being is eternal but doesn't experience other beings as itself. There's an infinity of different selves. So which is it, and how can we truly know? So first of all, congratulations, Psychedelicacy, for your continued probing into the nature of reality. And instead of trying to answer your question in a way that favors one philosophical perspective over the other, let's try and examine this from our own reflection, our own understanding, and our own experience. Let's try and do that and see if you can be sure if you are eternal. So the first thing that I think needs to be asked is, who or what is it that wants to know? What is the I that is asking the question? And from the way you've asked the questions, it's apparent that the I is an awareness that is identifying itself with that which it calls psychedelicacy, or whatever the name and form that I has assumed. I am psychedelicacy. I am Deepak Chopra. I am Aurora Carlson. As soon as you add a name to it, then that conjures up a lifetime of experiences that I am has identified with. And those lifetimes of experiences are also interpretations based on perceptions. And interpretations are mental activities, and they are thoughts, and perceptions appear as physical objects, but they are also modifications of the awareness itself. And so as soon as you modify awareness into a perception, whether that's a sound, a taste, a texture, a smell, a form, a color, a shape, and as soon as you identify with that, I identifies with that, interprets that, creates a history out of that, then it creates I am this and I am that, and I am Deepak and I am Psychedelicacy, I am Aurora, I am Henry, I am Maggie, I am Punacha, and so on. So that is, of course, awareness identifying itself with a lifetime of experiences. So my question then to you is any experience permanent? Any experience permanent? Is a mental experience, a thought, permanent? Or is it just a flicker in a never-ending now? Is an emotion permanent, or is it just a flicker in a never-ending now? Is any perception, is any sound, is any texture, is any taste, is any smell, is any form permanent? And of course, the answer is obvious. All experiences are transient. They're ephemeral, because even though we identify with a continuum of experiences, each experience is its own. Each experience is present in that which we call now. So experience is born and dies in every now, and we can give it continuity because awareness is present. You, I, is present in every experience. It's the only non-changing factor in the changing experience. So awareness, or I am, is the timeless factor in every time-bound experience. Experience is transient, it's ephemeral, it's evanescent. It arises and subsides as soon as it's born, and therefore no experience is reality. Anything that we call experience cannot be reality, because it's a modification of an awareness that is not in time. And then the experience, of course, is interpreted as in time. Also know, Greg Anderson 21, 9 others shared this video. Thank you, Greg, and all of you. Okay, so the only thing that's timeless in every experience is awareness itself. Awareness is the timeless factor in every so-called time-bound experience. Therefore, no experience can give you access to reality. No experience. And these are even experiences that are part of what we can call higher consciousness. So in higher consciousness, in that which we've talked about before, in Turiya, or transcendental consciousness, or Turiya Tattva, cosmic consciousness, or Bhagavad Chetna, divine consciousness. In all these states of consciousness, there are experiences, and they tend to be the awakening of non-local dormant potentials, precognition, remembrance of other lifetimes, intuition, higher dimensional creativity, insight, imagination, and a shift in perceptual mechanisms. But even these experiences cannot be reality, because they're modifications of awareness in a, what we are as humans calling, a higher frequency domain. So do understand that as soon as I am becomes I am this experience, then we have stepped away from reality into a projection that reality assumes perceptually, cognitively, mentally, as thought, as feeling, as emotion, as perception. Okay? So no experience, I have to reinforce this, no experience can give us access to reality. So any experience that is identified with I cannot be eternal or timeless. It cannot. It is evanescent. It is transient. It is ephemeral. I think logic says so with conviction. Michael Dean says deep sleep. I'm going to come to that immediately, and that's very good that you said that, Michael, because now you've given me a window to real reality, a window to real reality. We'll come back in 15 seconds. Here I am back again. So Michael had said something very interesting. He had mentioned deep sleep. So those of us who are familiar with non-dual traditions, and I made a note of this, the non-dualists ask, am I ever aware of my own absence? I'm asking you this question now. Are you ever aware of your own absence? Honestly reflect on this. Not just now only, but reflect on this for a few days. Am I ever aware of my own absence? Answer is obvious, right? You're never aware of your own absence. You are never aware of your own absence. So, in deep sleep, there is no experience. Deep sleep, there is no experience. So what is there? There is awareness without experience. So the next morning when you say, I had a beautiful sleep, I felt like a baby, then at that moment you're inferring there was something called deep sleep. But in deep sleep, there was no awareness of experience. So deep sleep is actually a window to reality. That's why many of the Om Lakshmi Narayan, Om Shri Sai Ram, that's why the Advaitins say deep sleep may be a window to reality. Frequently it's called Atma Darshan. Atma Darshan. Darshan means, actually darshan means appearance, but this is a different kind of darshan. It's a darshan of the self as awareness. It's the darshan of the self as awareness. So it's not a perceptual experience, it's not a mental experience. It is awareness alone. In fact, how do we know there's awareness in deep sleep? Well, there's a lot of unconscious processing that goes on in deep sleep, and creativity is enhanced in deep sleep, and memory is enhanced in deep sleep. So a lot is happening in deep sleep that you're not consciously aware of. So a lot happens in the unmanifest domain of awareness that we are not consciously aware of. In fact, our conscious mind is like the tip of an iceberg, and the vast ocean of consciousness remains unmanifest at all times, whether we are in the waking dream or in the dreaming dream at night. It doesn't matter. The vast ocean of consciousness is unmanifest, sub-empirical, and yet processing everything that we interpret as reality. But if you can just remember this one point, that all perception, number one, is learned. Number two, all perception is interpretation. And all perception creates subject-object split. that when we transcend perception, we come to pure awareness, which is infinite possibilities, which is the true self. And that's the real meaning of the self of the individual, is the self of the universe. So as awareness, you are eternal, because you're timeless. Remember, awareness is not in time. So eternal doesn't mean endlessly stretching in time. Greg Whittam and 40 others shared your video. Thank you so much for expanding the conversation. Okay, so awareness is not in time. It does not mean eternity is an endless stretch in time. Eternity is timeless, and it is therefore now, because now is timeless. Now is not a moment in time. Okay, so by self-reflection, by being aware of the transient nature of experience, by knowing that experience is capricious, it can be changed by a hit on the head, or anesthesia, or a pill, or alcohol, or hallucination, or ayahuasca, or LSD, or anything. It's capricious. Perception is capricious. It is ephemeral. It is evanescent. It is a modification in time, or appears in time. But perception is not reality. And of course, what we call objects of reality as humans is intersubjective agreement on our perceptual experiences through modes of knowing and experience that have been conditioned through history, culture, religion, and so on. So once we get that totally, and then when we can be aware of being aware, which is a practice that we need to engage in, then being aware of being aware is possible in deep sleep as well. And that is the best preparation for that which we call physical death. Because physical death is just the slow dialing down of perceptual and mental activity till we reach source, which is pure awareness. Same thing as deep sleep. But if you can wake up to awareness, be aware of awareness in deep sleep, then you have conquered that which is called death by humans. Plum Cherry and 44 others shared your video. Very grateful to all of you. Okay, so let's wake up to awareness. Wake up to presence. Wake up to infinity. Wake up to eternity. Wake up to that in which perception, cognition, and all experience arises and subsides in every now. So when we can do that, then we have understood that I is eternal, and we can be sure of it because we are awake to the nature of existence, being, awake to the nature of presence in which all happens. I, in that sense, is eternal, and you can be sure of it. And you can be sure of it through understanding, through knowing, and through awakening to the awareness of awareness, being. So what about the conditioned self? What about the jiva, the soul? Is that eternal? Well, it can stretch endlessly if you're attached to experience. And so in that sense, it is obstinately permanent as well, because habits of conditioning and experience and perception and cognition, mental habits, they all have a stickiness about them. They all have a stickiness about them. And as long as you're attached to the projection, the illusion, the excitation, the dream, then you can have it for as long as you want. But do know that just because you recycle the dream doesn't make it more real. Recycling the dream doesn't make it more real. And you cannot use a dream to explain the dream. Jolen says, before consciousness, what is? Well, consciousness is without cause, fundamental, and indivisible. So, before consciousness, there is no space, no time, no dimensionality. And yet, it is you as consciousness that gives birth to all that we call experience, the entire universe. That's why we keep saying, you are the universe. Discovering your cosmic self and why it matters. Matters is a good verb. Matters. Consciousness matters itself into experience. Well, that's it for today. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy this moment, because it will pass by before I even finish this sentence. God bless.